picture this. You're at your own funeral looking at the front row.
Oh, wow.
Who's there?
Yeah.
Bloom calls these folks your front row people. And understanding their importance is just one piece of a much bigger idea about wealth, but it's not the kind you see on a bank statement.
It's such a powerful image, isn't it? It instantly makes you reflect on the true value of relationships.
Absolutely welcome to Beyond the Pages, where the right book can change everything.
I like that.
Today, we're diving deep into The Five Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom, a book all about redefining success beyond just money.
It's a timely topic for sure. So many people are feeling like the traditional measures of achievement are leaving them empty.
Bloom had his own wake-up call. He starts the book with this story about a friend who casually points out that you only get to see your parents maybe 15 more times before they die.
That's the kind of statement that stops you in your tracks. Suddenly you realize just how finite and precious time really is.
And it was a huge aha moment for Bloom. It sparked his whole quest to explore a broader definition of wealth, one that encompasses more than just financial success.
He doesn't dismiss financial wealth, though he sees it as one piece of a larger puzzle, just like time, which he considers the foundation of everything else.
So beyond the dollars and cents, Bloom lays out these five types of wealth: time, social, mental, physical, and of course, financial.
The interesting thing is that he argues they're all interconnected. You can't truly maximize one without paying attention to the others.
Let's start with time well then. Wealth, Bloom says, it's not about managing time because you can't really manage something that's constantly slipping away.
It's more about awareness, recognizing that time is finite, and making conscious choices about how we spend it.
And then there's the whole idea of attention residue, which I think a lot of us can relate to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of switching between tasks, but never fully disconnecting from the previous one, like checking email, then scrolling social media, then back to work, and your brain is still half stuck on that funny meme you just saw.
Exactly. It's like constantly running but never getting anywhere. Bloom calls it the Red Queen effect from Alice in Wonderland.
And he argues that this constant task switching is a major drain on our time wealth. It makes us feel scattered, less productive, and ultimately less satisfied with how we're spending our days.
So how do we combat this Red Queen effect? Bloom suggests a few tactics. One is setting aside focused blocks of time for specific tasks and minimizing distractions during those periods.
He also talks about the importance of minimizing what he calls attention residue by being more intentional about how we transition between activities, for example, instead of jumping right from work emails to social media. Take a few minutes to clear your head, maybe go for a walk or listen to some music.
It's about reclaiming control over our attention, which is really the most valuable resource we have when it comes to time wealth.
Bloom argues that this sense of control allows us to allocate our time based on what truly matters to us rather than constantly reacting to external demands.
Speaking of what truly matters, that brings us to social wealth. Remember those front-row people at your hypothetical funeral?
That's where it all comes back around. Social wealth for Bloom is all about the depth and quality of our relationships.
He actually cites the Harvard study of adult development, which followed hundreds of men for decades, and what they found was fascinating.
The study concluded that close relationships were one of the strongest predictors of happiness and even physical health. The men who had strong social connections lived longer, had sharper memories later in life, and reported higher levels of overall life satisfaction.
So it's not just about having a ton of friends on social media. It's about cultivating those deep, meaningful connections that are built on honesty, support, and shared experiences.
Bloom also emphasizes the importance of the breadth of our social network. He argues that having connections with people who challenge our thinking and expose us to new perspectives is also crucial for our growth and development.
He makes a distinction between earned status, the respect we gain through our actions, and the fleeting validation we get from buying fancy things.
That really resonated with me. It's about building a life of substance, not just accumulating possessions.
So we've got time wealth and social wealth. Now, what about the wealth between our ears?
Bloom calls this mental wealth, and it's all about cultivating a rich inner life. He breaks mental wealth down into three key components: lifelong learning, finding your purpose, and creating space for stillness.
He actually gives this incredible example of a guy named Hank Behar, who started taking astronomy classes at Harvard at 85 years old.
Yeah.
Talk about lifelong learning.
It's such a great reminder that it's never too late to dive into something new. Bloom argues that cultivating a love of learning simply for the joy of it is key to building mental wealth.
He doesn't just stop at learning for the sake of learning, though he also provides a practical framework for finding your purpose.
Right, he calls it the pursuit map. It's basically an exercise where you identify the activities that both energize you and that you excel at. It's about finding that sweet spot where your passions and talents intersect.
I love that it's such an actionable takeaway. It's not just some vague feel-good concept. It's something listeners can actually put into practice.
And then there's the importance of creating space for stillness amidst all the noise and chaos of modern life. Bloom argues that mental stillness isn't just for monks or yogis, it's essential for everyone.
He even highlights a study where a monk's brain showed incredible levels of focus and calm during meditation. But he also acknowledges that not everyone is going to become a Zen master overnight.
Exactly. He suggests incorporating even short periods of stillness into our day, whether it's through meditation, nature walks, or simply taking a few minutes to disconnect from technology and be present in the moment.
It's about giving our minds a break from the constant barrage of information and stimulation, which is something I think our listeners who often feel overwhelmed will really appreciate.
Absolutely. Bloom argues that incorporating those moments of stillness can dramatically improve our mental clarity, creativity, and overall well-being.
Okay, so we've covered time, social, and mental wealth. Let's move on to something a little more, shall we say, physical.
When most people hear the term physical wealth, they probably think about six-pack abs and perfect physiques.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the aesthetics, but Bloom takes a much broader view.
He defines physical wealth as giving your future self the best chance to thrive. It's about taking care of your body and mind so you can live a longer, healthier, and more fulfilling life.
He actually tells this interesting story about a guy named Kevin Dahlstrom who left a high-paying job to focus on his well-being.
Dahlstrom realized that neglecting his health in his younger years would eventually catch up with him. He decided to invest in his long-term physical wealth, even if it meant taking a temporary hit financially.
It's a great example of how these different types of wealth are interconnected. Dahlstrom understood that neglecting one area could negatively impact the others.
And what I appreciate is that Bloom isn't promoting some extreme, unsustainable fitness regimen. He's all about finding a balance that works for you.
He applies the 80-20 rule here, arguing that you can get 80% of the results with just 20% of the effort.
He focuses on three key pillars: movement, nutrition, and recovery.
For movement, he emphasizes finding activities you enjoy and incorporating both cardio and strength training. He's a big believer in consistency over intensity.
With nutrition, it's all about focusing on whole, unprocessed foods. He's not about strict diets or deprivation, but about making healthy choices most of the time.
And then there's recovery, which often gets overlooked. Bloom stresses the importance of getting enough sleep, managing stress, and allowing your body to rest and repair.
He even dives into specific techniques like breath work and mindfulness, which can be surprisingly effective in promoting relaxation and reducing stress.
Bloom's approach to physical wealth is really about creating sustainable habits that will support your overall well-being for the long haul. It's not about chasing some fleeting ideal of physical perfection.
Now, for the type of wealth that most people probably think of first, financial wealth,
It's interesting because Bloom doesn't shy away from the complexity of finance, but he presents it in a way that's clear, engaging, and even entertaining at times.
he uses stories and analogies like the parable of the fisherman and the investment banker to illustrate his points and make them more relatable.
That story is all about defining what enough looks like for you. The investment banker wants the fisherman to constantly strive for more wealth and possessions, while the fisherman is content with his simple, fulfilling life.
It's a powerful reminder that financial wealth shouldn't be the end goal itself, but rather a tool to help us live the life we want.
Bloom encourages readers to define their own enough life, and then create a financial plan that aligns with their values and aspirations.
He breaks financial wealth down into three key pillars: income, expenses, and investment.
For income, it's not just about earning more. It's also about diversifying your income streams and developing valuable skills.
With expenses, he stresses the importance of being mindful of where your money is going and avoiding lifestyle creep, where your spending increases as your income rises.
He's a big advocate for conscious spending, making sure your financial choices align with your priorities and values.
And then there's investment, where Bloom really emphasizes the power of compounding.
He uses the classic story of the rice and the chessboard to illustrate how small, consistent investments can grow exponentially over time.
He encourages readers to start investing early, even if it's with a small amount, and to focus on long-term growth rather than trying to get rich quick.
Bloom's approach to financial wealth is really about building a solid foundation, making smart choices, and letting the power of compounding work its magic over time. So we've explored all 5 types of wealth: time, social, mental, physical, and financial adjustment. What does this all mean for our listeners?
One thing that struck me about Bloom's book is that it's not just theoretical, it's packed with actionable advice and exercises that people can use to actually build wealth in these
He
areas.
even includes a wealth score quiz, which is a great tool for self-assessment.
Yeah.
It's not about comparing yourself to others, but about identifying areas where you might be neglecting your own wealth-building potential.
It helps you figure out where to focus your energy. Bloom also talks about aligning your actions with your values. He uses this great analogy of a compass.
Oh, right. He talks about finding your life razor, which is basically your set of core principles, and then using that as your compass to guide you towards a life that's truly fulfilling.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially in today's world where there's so much pressure to conform to certain ideals of success.
He also talks about setting anti-goals, which I found interesting.
Yes, anti goals are essentially those things you want to avoid at all costs. It's about recognizing potential pitfalls and consciously steering clear of them.
Bloom argues that being aware of your anti-goals can be just as important as setting positive goals, because it helps you avoid paths that might lead to unhappiness or unfulfillment.
This really resonated with me, especially thinking about our listeners who are ambitious and driven, but also want to avoid burnout and maintain a sense of balance in their lives.
Bloom's framework really provides a roadmap for achieving both success and well-being.
He also introduces this concept of Kairos time, which refers to those moments of particular importance or opportunity.
It's about recognizing those windows when your energy and efforts can have the greatest impact, and then prioritizing accordingly.
It reminds me of that funeral scenario we talked about at the beginning. Bloom emphasizes that it's not just about the quantity of time we have, but the quality of how we spend it. Are we present in those key moments? Are we investing our time in the relationships and activities that truly matter?
And he provides some really practical tips for making the most of our time. He talks about using index cards to prioritize tasks, creating a flow state boot up sequence to enhance focus, and mastering the art of saying no to unnecessary commitments.
I loved his suggestion of creating a brain trust, a small group of trusted advisors you can turn to for guidance and support.
He stresses the importance of cultivating genuine connections in both our personal and professional lives, emphasizing that these relationships are a key source of both happiness and resilience.
For those looking to boost their mental wealth, Bloom provides strategies for rekindling curiosity, developing a growth mindset, and incorporating more stillness and space into their lives.
I think the idea of embracing lifelong learning just for the pure joy of discovery is something that will really resonate with our listeners.
Absolutely. He encourages us to view challenges as opportunities for growth, to ask thought-provoking questions, and to never stop exploring new ideas and perspectives.
When it comes to physical wealth, Bloom provides a really comprehensive guide to movement, nutrition, and recovery with actionable steps tailored for different levels of commitment.
He does a great job of debunking common myths, simplifying complex topics, and offering a roadmap for building sustainable habits that support long-term physical well-being.
And finally, for financial wealth, Bloom offers a clear and concise framework for managing income, expenses, and investments with an emphasis on long-term thinking and aligning our financial choices with our values.
He reminds us that financial wealth isn't just about accumulating money, it's about achieving financial security and freedom so we can pursue our passions and live a life of purpose. He even provides practical tips for budgeting, saving, investing, and negotiating bills.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the 5 types of wealth, I think the key takeaway is that true wealth is multifaceted and encompasses much more than just our financial assets.
Bloom's book is a powerful reminder that each of us has the potential to cultivate abundance in every area of our lives: time, social, mental, physical, and financial.
It's about recognizing that true wealth is within our reach. And it's up to us to define what that looks like and then take the necessary steps to build it.
I think this book will be particularly valuable for anyone who feels like the traditional measures of success aren't fulfilling or who is seeking a more holistic and meaningful approach to life.
So to our listeners, what type of wealth are you most neglecting? What small step can you take today to start building a richer and more fulfilling life?
Remember, even small, consistent efforts can lead to significant results over time.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more deep dives into life-changing books.
And be sure to share this episode with anyone who might benefit from Bloom's wisdom on building a life of true wealth.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing. Thanks for listening.